Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident fanalist, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_data. I don't know what happened there. I blanked out and started speaking in another language. It's fine. Everything's fine. So, a good amount of stuff on the docket. Similar to yesterday, I'm going to slow roll this. I'm going to take a lot of breaks. I'm going to walk away from the mic and just kind of take a lap around the kitchen, come back, because news is breaking at a semi-regular pace. And I want to try to grab as much as I can, but there is news already to report. Some good, some bad. That's how it goes. It's going to mostly be bad, by the way. Most of the people that we like are going to go to other teams. It's 31 against 1. You know what I mean? It's tough out there. But we'll start with, as my wife calls it, the juicy man drama. That is the NFL universe. And in the spirit of the juicy man drama, Pat McAfee not going to the NFL draft. I don't know why I find this to be kind of an interesting storyline. So ESPN, if you recall, spent a insane amount of money to bring Pat McAfee into the fold, and I do understand it. I understand the fact that ESPN doesn't really know what to do anymore. I don't think they know how to put out a good quality product. I don't think they know what people like. I think shows like Pat McAfee are starting to pop up all over the place. They're insanely popular because they appeal to hardcore NFL fans, as opposed to what the ESPN type places usually do, which is try to appeal to a broad audience, or the audience that their imaginations make up as being probably what people want to see. I don't know. And since they don't know what to do and they don't know how to appeal to football type people, they go and pay somebody who's a former football player that has a lot of appeal. The problem is that they fired a bunch of people in his place. I can't directly say that is, a direct result, but it certainly feels like it. We don't have any money anymore. By the way, we're giving all our money to this guy. The problem, though, is I don't think the people of ESPN like Pat McAfee. They don't want his type of content. They don't like his type of content. They don't like him. They don't like his guests. They don't like what he stands for. They don't like how he speaks. They don't like his thoughts on things. And so it's a very weird dynamic where it's like, we're going to give you all this money and we love you and you're the best and we're going to be here to support you. But there's a lot of people, like I talked about yesterday, probably hundreds of people that are working behind the scenes to make ESPN work. And a lot of those people don't like Pat McAfee. And they wish that he wasn't there. And they wish that the people that got fired would come back because they'd rather have that type of programming than Pat McAfee, who they think is a scumbag. And so there's just this constant friction where Pat McAfee gets paid, so there's an agreement there, and they're able to broadcast his stuff, but they really don't like each other. And so apparently there's just this constant friction and constant nagging because ESPN, like most places, has way too many managers and way too much bloated nonsense. So, every time it's like that scene from Office Space where he says, I got 8 bosses, Bob. 8. So you know what that means? When I make a mistake, I got 8 different people coming to my desk and telling me about it. So essentially, he went to the Combine, and the NFL loves Pat McAfee. He's got tons of ins because he's a football player, and he's a football guy, and football people love him, and he's friends with everybody, GMs and coaches and players. So they're reaching out like, come on out, it's going to be great. So the NFL greenlights it like, come on out, man. Yeah, we'll give you space. We'll do all this stuff. And ESPN is causing problems. Well, you got to measure this, and you got to check this, and we got to do this, and this has to be da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And they're in his face constantly with all the regulations and all the different things. And he's like, would you just get out of my way? And he basically said, look, that was such a BS performance. I'm not going to the draft. I know you want me to be there live from the draft and all that stuff. I'm not doing it because you all suck. You're a pain. You don't know how to do things. You constantly get in my way. The best way to promote my show would be to get the hell out of my way and let me do my show. But since you want to be a constant thorn in my side and cause problems, then I'm not going. And I'm going to do the draft show from here. I'm not leaving here anymore because you guys suck. You're pathetic, and you're incompetent, and you're petty, and you're stupid. And because you're so stupid that you pay all this money to bring me in here and then be petty, now your network, which kind of sucks anyways, and is purging money, is going to suck a little bit more. Because not only am I your biggest personality that is not going to the NFL draft, but I'm going to go on here and talk about how much you all suck publicly, which he did. Not a huge Pat McAfee fan. Don't really watch the show. I'll occasionally grab a clip here and there. In fact, we have one. I don't know if I'm actually going to play it, but it's there. But the whole thing is just stupid. It's such a weird arrangement. It only works because it works financially. Pat McAfee couldn't say no to their money. ESPN couldn't say no to the viewers, but they freaking hate each other. And I love that. It's just great. I wish they would stop showing, do your show, whatever. Some people like the show. That's great. But then keep the cameras rolling after. I want to be in the meeting rooms. I want to be in the board rooms when Pat McAfee has to sit there with his bosses and these middle managers that he hates and all this, the upper middle and lower middle and the higher middle and all the middles and the managers and the things. I want to hear that. That's the behind the scenes stuff. I want to catch the hidden cameras where they're talking trash about Pat McAfee and how much they hate him. You know what I mean? When they're eating their ham and cheese sandwich at lunch. Actually, it's probably like avocado toast and those weird like oatmeal things. But it's fun, and I enjoy it. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers. I had mentioned many times his everything's kind of closing around him. There's not many opportunities. And then I said he's got to retire because the only one that really makes a lot of sense at this point, there's a couple, but the freaking Giants. Do you really want to play for the Giants? I said, there's no way. There's no way. Yeah, I mean, the Jets kind of made sense. The Giants, 0 cents. Maybe 1 cent with Malik Neighbors. But that's it. You had that with the Jets, and it didn't work. He doesn't like you. But, according to, who the heck is this? Is this Mina Kimes? Oh, no, this is Pat McAfee show. I get him confused. So they were talking to Giants beat reporter Art Stapleton. And Art Stapleton says the Giants have been in serious negotiations about bringing Aaron Rodgers to the team. Art Stapleton reported they are pretty significantly down a road in negotiations. Rodgers' representatives can talk to teams now that the Jets have given him permission. The Giants have yet to be scared off by potential concerns, like the Pat McAfee show. They currently only have Tommy DeVito as their quarterback. The Stafford thing fell through. But, I mean, it might be a thing. I mean, depending on the wording of this and how legitimate, maybe the one part is more significant or more correct than the other being more speculative. But when you say pretty significantly down the road in negotiations, are we just talking about the Giants negotiating among themselves about whether they want to talk to Rodgers, who has no interest in you? Because that seems crazy. And watch him frickin' go off and win MVP with the Giants. But, I mean, come on. And they're still going to go get a quarterback. 100,000% they're going to try to trade up to 1 to get a quarterback. There's no way they don't. Oh, I shouldn't say there's no way they don't. They're the team that just gave away all their talent because they're stupid. I don't know. I was just surprised to see it. I'm not going to play the clip, but I was surprised to see that there is something legitimately serious there. And look, if you are the Giants, I would understand. I really could understand it. Because again, like I said, if you're a GM, your number one job seems to be to help the team, but in reality, your number one job is to keep your job. And you are going to get fired, maybe even before the end of this year, if you can't find a way to win. And banking on giving up all your draft capital to get up to 1, to draft a quarterback in a weak quarterback class and expect him to start week 1 and get you a bunch of wins with no talent on your roster is not going to happen. So you got to throw a Hail Mary. And who's the greatest at Hail Marys? It's Aaron frickin' Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? And then speaking of quarterbacks fall from grace, I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like it. But we're already down the road with Russell Wilson where we're talking about where he could land. I mean, he's still, as far as I'm concerned, he's still the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But they have, we've gotten to the point where it's almost so much of a done deal that he's gone that we're starting to speculate about other things. That's where we get to Associated Press's Rob Maaddi reports a reunion between impending free agent Russell Wilson and Raiders head coach Pete Carroll is unlikely. So not only has he not even been fired yet, but we're already talking about how nobody else wants him. Conversely, the Fields thing is making me so happy. Not only are they saying he's very likely to get that starting job if he is released, the talk is that he's going to have a very big market. Now, maybe this is just Fields stuff because, the media is obsessed with Fields and they probably haven't given up. Oh, they love him. They're going to keep him. But if they don't, everyone's going to love him. It might all just be completely fake. Just like, well, they're going to trade Fields for 700 first-round picks and he went for like a pack of donuts because he's a bad quarterback and everybody knows it except the national media who just pretends that this guy's amazing. I can't pick a side whether I like him or not, but just, facts is facts. But I thought that was hilarious. We're talking about Russell Wilson, who was legitimately a top 5, top 3 quarterback for several years. And then his play started to dip, and it was like, that's weird, but it happens. And then he gets traded, and it's like, this is the worst quarterback in the world. I don't understand. They paid a lot for that guy, and he was just the worst. And then he got shipped off again, and he was still the worst. Every Steelers game I watched, I was thinking, dude, put in Fields. This is terrible. And I can't believe those words came out of my mouth, but I meant it. Kind of a weird Packers sidebar here. Shout out to GPT 4.5 for finding this little nugget. I was begging all the different robots, like, find me something different in the news that I don't already know. And, of course, nobody was able to find anything, except the new GPT 4.5 found me. Green Bay Packers tight end Ben Sims is engaged. Yay, Ben Sims did it. Good job, buddy boy. The NFL player popped the question to his girlfriend of more than 5 years on Saturday, February 22nd. So we're a little behind the ball on that, but maybe you all already knew that. I don't know. Maddie Algia. Well, it's Maddie Sims now. It's a much better name. They were at the Barons Creek Vineyards when he popped the question. Isn't that, was it a vineyard for Jordan? I know it was a castle there, but I don't know. You know where I took my wife when I proposed? To my living room. I told her to come over and help me clean. Oh, I put a fake fireplace on my television, and I laid out rose petals and was wearing a suit. This crappy little 2-bedroom duplex. She walked in, had no idea what was going on. Like, oh, this is nice. It's like, come on, lady. Drove like an hour. What did it take? A little over an hour. No AC and my little stupid Echo, blazing hot. It was one of those hot days where you don't know if rolling up or rolling down the window is better. You roll up the window, you're in this little hot box. You roll down the window because you need some fresh air, but it's so unbelievably hot. It's like, I think this is worse. I think I was wearing my work clothes, so I was kind of halfway dressed up. Drove all the way up to meet her parents to ask her dad for permission. Looked like a friggin' idiot. Pouring sweat. Good times. Anyways, congrats to Mr. Sims. What else we got here? Mason Crosby mentioned yesterday that he officially did retire. Made a funny comment as a quote tweet to Pat McAfee. Said, appreciate you. I had to retire now that the surprise onside kick is out. Always keeping it real for the brand over here. Thought that was pretty funny. In his official statement, he says, Dear Green Bay, the 2 years since I played in Green Bay has been a whirlwind, but now that my family is established in our new home, I want to take a moment to recognize the blessing and privilege it was to play for the Green Bay Packers and be part of that special community. I was lucky to be part of a Super Bowl winning team, see my family grow from Molly and I to a family of 7, attaboy, all delivered in Green Bay, and we live year-round and made memories that I know will be among my most cherished. Retiring as a Packer, what a guy, by the way. It's such a rare thing to have a great career, get drafted one place, stay there for the entire career, a very long, illustrious one, win a Super Bowl, and retire with that team. Just a beautiful thing. Retiring as a Packer is my way of saying that even though I may now live in another state, I am still that ambassador. But now, instead of you cheering me on, it's my turn to champion and celebrate what is being accomplished in Wisconsin. You will continue to hear and see me around. I look forward to that. Doing what I can to shine the spotlight on all the amazing things that happen in the area and also helping vital groups in the community. Thank you, Packers fans, for all your support of 16 seasons. Thank you to the Packers organization for the opportunity to play the game I love. Thank you to all my teammates over those 16 years. We had an incredible run, and I am so grateful for the friendships formed that will last a lifetime. Thank you to the Packers support staff who work tirelessly to support the work that we do on and off the field. To the Green Bay community for all your lifelong relationships formed during the time there. I could not have had the success I had on the field as a kicker without the support I had off of it. Once a Packer, always a Packer. Go Pack, go, Mason Crosby. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. All right, let's kick off segment 2 here with, well, let me just say this. I'm kind of sick to death of DK Metcalf. Like I've said what I had to say. I'm in favor of DK. It comes with strings attached as far as how much the cost is and whatnot, but I'm open to it. But I'm kind of just sick to death about hearing it. I think it on social media it turned into a fight because people wanted to talk about Dontavian Wicks, and I don't think we'll have time today. I do want to dig into that a little bit. I was planning to make a point, and I might have to change my mind on Dontavian Wicks a little bit because I was surprised to see something. We'll see if we have time to get to that. But I went to, so I've got these, these little groups and folders and whatnot on YouTube so I can kind of check through things, and I went to my NFL thing and ran through their stuff. I went to my Packers folder and I'm flipping through. I swear 70% is DK Metcalf. It's like, oh my Lord. You go on social media, it's DK Metcalf. It's too much money. I don't want him. Dontavian Wicks. It's like, oh jeez. So we'll go over some of the news and notes for DK Metcalf, but the bottom line is it sounds like there's a huge gap between what Seattle is asking, which, again, is normal. If it's true the Packers are asking a second for Jair, it's a very similar thing, right? You're asking for too much, and that number's going to have to come down. But the gap is supposedly freaking monstrous. So let's start off with The Athletic's Diana Rossini reports the Seahawks are seeking a first and third round pick in a trade for DK Metcalf. The Seahawks will reportedly seek out trade partners for Metcalf, who requested a trade on Wednesday. The 27-year-old receiver should have a strong market, but whether or not teams will be willing to duel a first and third round for a player on an expiring contract is to be determined. Metcalf, who's hoping for a $30 million per year contract in his next deal, that's a sizable amount, by the way, will almost certainly be seeking a new deal wherever he lands. He's one of the best available receivers, and the Bengals, after the Bengals franchise, T. Higgins will get to that. They continue to tell teams he is unavailable for trade. Metcalf was loosely rumored to be on the Packers' radar during the NFL scouting combine, but those rumors were debunked soon after they surfaced, with free agents set to kick off next week. It'll be interesting to see who could surface as suitors for Metcalf once the other players come off the market. We got Corbin Smith. I don't remember if this is the same guy as before that was talking all this trash about the Packers and whatever. It probably is. But he says, been working the phones this morning, and it seems like the best package the Seahawks could get from the Packers as things stand. We'll have a few other proposals assembled based on what I've heard and what the current market stands, coming soon on Emerald Spectrum. Here's what he had to say. Seahawks trade Metcalf and a 2025 fifth-round pick, number 173, to the Packers for a second-round pick and a 2025 fourth-round pick, and Dontavian Wicks, and that's kind of what blew everything up. First off, let's just say, if I had to guess, this report is not true. I don't know where he's getting this stuff from, but that would be my guess. It's possible. Maybe that is what the Packers are entertaining, and that's where the conversation comes in. Most people seem to be on the trade Dobbs but not Wicks train. I'm not as big of a Wicks fan as a lot of other Packer fans, but I absolutely love the the appeal. He showed us some stuff. Who knows? And like I said, I've been the main proponent of a lot of the drops have to do with the quarterback. So if Jordan can kind of clean it up a little bit next year, maybe Wicks can kind of get back to what he was, plus get some better wide receiver help to take some weight off him, whatever. I don't know, but I think the contention is, look, Dobbs is the one that's probably going anyway. He's the X that is not good enough to be our X. He had his little flare up. I think it is what it is, and Wicks just seems to have a little bit more upside for most people. I think he's got a lower floor as well, but whatever. Anyways, let me continue reading here. It says, if the proposal sounds familiar, sources with knowledge of the situation indicated to Emerald City Spectrum that Green Bay has already had discussions about a package for Metcalf, including either Wicks or Romeo Doubs paired with a high draft pick. While Seattle may hold firm in its demand for a first-round pick as part of the deal, it's unlikely Schneider will be able to squeeze that out of Brian Gutekunst, especially if a promising young receiver and or additional mid-round pick has to be included. And that's where Jacina Anderson comes in. She says, I'm told there is a team willing to give at least a third-round pick for Seahawks wide receiver DK Metcalf. So again, revisiting the idea that the Packers are offering a second and let's call it a fifth, because it's a fourth minus a fifth. Let's say a second, a fifth, and a player. Somebody's way off. And when you look at the wide receiver market, a third feels low for me, but the wide receiver market just does not seem great. We'll get to a new addition that just came out, a trade that took place. But, I mean, if the gap right now is we want a first and the people are offering a third, maybe there can be a compromise on a second. Maybe it can be a conditional second. I don't really know. But the bottom line is this. This is a follow-up tweet by Jacina Anderson. She says, the same league source just told me, quote, right now the Seahawks want too much for DK Metcalf in their opinion. She said it sounds like this team will circle back. So basically, they're playing hard, and it makes sense. You're going to play hardball. There's going to be several rounds. So the first round, people come in, and they're like, "We want a first," and people laugh, and they're like, "I'm serious. We're not going to budge off that." So you let people come in. You know they're all going to walk away from the table. Fine. We got time. We got a little bit of time here. Let them go out, check the market, find out everybody sucks, and nobody's going to be out there. It's not a good market. Hopefully somebody like Devontae gets picked up somewhere. They're all going to come circling back, a little bit more willing to play, and maybe you'll be a little bit more flexible this time around. But round one was just a huge chasm of, look, maybe I can give up a third, and they're going, yeah, a first and then some. So we'll see. It's slow rolling, but it's just going to punch you in the mouth when it happens. It's going to be nothing's happening, boom, it just happened. That's what I love about this, man. Just out of nowhere, you start getting these reports. It's done, it happened, and then you cry because it was somebody else, and it's probably a rival that you hate. But there you go. There is your daily DK Metcalf update. I don't have anything else for you on that front. I have some other potentially bad news here. This is via NFL. Chargers released defensive end Joey Bosa. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but I don't remember where the source was or whatever. But Joey Bosa was under contract. Khalil Mack is a free agent. And the report that I had heard, that I had told you about, was the Chargers want to release Bosa and bring back Khalil Mack. And I said, that seems weird to get rid of the guy you have on contract and bring back a guy you don't have contract, but whatever. It certainly seems to be moving in that direction. Now, the last time I was about to predict, I guess we just lost that guy. It was DK Metcalf, and he said, I want to trade, and here we are. But I would guess that Khalil Mack is going to get a deal done with the Chargers. That's my guess, and I'm not super happy about it. Now, the question becomes, what about Bosa? Well, the problem with Bosa, whether you know or not, massive injury issues. He has missed a lot of time. He's a very, very good football player, but his body has taken an absolute beating. He is now coming up on 30 years old. He had the worst year of his career in 2024. It doesn't look like he's really played a full season since 2021. So in 2024, 2023, 2022, 2020, 2018, and probably 2016, I'm seeing what looks like about half years, just based on snap counts. He played 800-plus snaps 3 seasons out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So like 9 seasons he's played. 3 of them looks like they were full seasons. And this past year took an absolute toll on him. So he played 3 games, and then he got injured, and when he came back, he was just terrible the rest of the year. So look, anything is possible. I mean, this guy is a legit, number 1 selection. He was taken 3rd, but he's one of those guys. He's just an absolute freak, just like his brother. But this guy cannot stay healthy, like, at all. I mean, it's like Jair, but worse. Imagine it started like day 1 of his career. With that said, this past year was his only kind of bad year. And it was 39 pressures on 350 attempts and 6 sacks. So he still probably would have been our best pass rusher. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to it, depending. I mean, you got to understand, you're talking about a 30-year-old guy whose body has been broken for a long time. If he's looking for any kind of a sizable contract, forget it. Would I be down for something very reasonable? Yes. Would I still want to look to the draft? Yes. Would I prefer Khalil Mack if he becomes available? 1,000,000,000% I would. Kind of jumping back to the wide receiver thing real quick. Jaguars traded wide receiver Christian Kirk in exchange for a 2026 7th-round pick. 2026 7th-round pick. The day after learning he would be released, Kirk now has a new home in Houston. The wide receiver needy Texans gave up virtually nothing to acquire the veteran slot receiver who's on his final year of a 4-year, $72 million deal he signed in 2022 and will hope he can make an adequate pairing with Nico Collins. Kirk underperformed his contract with the Jaguars, catching 168 passes, blah, 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 blah. He was plagued with injuries. Kirk has played over 75% of the snaps from the slot since 2021, likely play a similar role with the Texans next season. The interesting note that I saw about this that kind of comes back to DK or anybody else, Andrew Brandt, says 3 years ago, Christian Kirk signed the largest free agent wide receiver deal in history. Today he was traded for a ham sandwich. circle of life in the NFL. Again, I come back to DK. Is he significantly more valuable than Christian Kirk? Yes. But we have to deal in reality. Guys who were unbelievably valuable 2-3 years ago have seen significant drop-offs. DK Metcalf is a lot older. You look at DK at his absolute prime compared to now. He's older. He's not as fast. It's not the same. So you're not getting like prime DK Metcalf prices. I'm sorry. Jaguars also just completely butchered the rest of their team. They released their star tight end, Evan Ingram, per ESPN, whoever. They just got rid of everybody over there. Via Ari Mirov, the Jaguars in a single day traded wide receiver Christian Kirk to Houston, will release tight end Evan Ingram, kick and punt returner Devin Duvernay, wide receiver Josh Reynolds, and cornerback Ronald Darby, and also saw starting cornerback Mitch Morse retire. Sorry to have to do this to you, but we got to circle back to DK Metcalf because this happens every 5 seconds. Seahawks GM John Schneider said the team is speaking to a, quote, ton of teams, unquote, about a potential trade of DK Metcalf. Schneider also said everything is in a very cordial, professional place, with the wideout that he understands a deal might not come to fruition. Obviously, DK has requested a trade, and we're entertaining that. Schneider continued, we are talking to a ton of teams, taking offers, seeing what that looks like. It's a level of candor you don't usually get from an executive regarding a potential trade, making it easier to take Schneider at his word that basically everything is on the table with the star wideout. It seems both sides prefer a fresh start at this point, and with the free agent receiver market typically weak, Seattle could be able to approach its rumored first and third round pick asking price. I doubt it. So there you go. What else have we got here? Another guy that was released. Nobody cares except me. Raekwon Davis, my man. I was so big on Raekwon Davis. I'll tell you what, man, I feel like when it comes to the draft, I either nail it or I am so unbelievably far off, it's crazy. There have been 2 guys so far that I have been obsessed with. Both of them are maybe the worst at their position that has ever existed. That said, I got a couple that are pretty good about. That center out of, what the heck was he from? I don't remember. But that was my favorite guy. He's a fantastic center. I liked a bunch of guys out of Kentucky. Kentucky's killing it in the NFL right now. So I get some stuff right, or I get some stuff very wrong. I want Raekwon frickin' Davis, okay? I want him. My favorite term when I'm evaluating draft prospects is bear paws, and it's because of this man right here. So I'm just going to tell you, Raekwon Davis is fantastic. He's been misused forever. I don't know how. Doesn't matter. That's not the point. Somehow, Miami and Indianapolis are idiots, and if Jeff Hafley ever got his hands on this guy, we would have the greatest defensive tackle of all time. I'm speaking in lies right now. You don't need to take any of this seriously, but I do like Raekwon Davis, and if for whatever stupid reason they said, let's give this guy a shot, I would be the happiest person maybe to ever exist. But it's rough when you look at his PFF grades. His rookie year, he came in, and this is when nobody at defensive tackle was doing anything, had a 71 grade, and I was doing freaking backflips. Like, yeah, I told you this guy was going to be good. After that, his grades have been 36, 43, 57, and 37. So, pretty straight dog trash. The worst to ever exist. In fact, he had 4 pressures on 174 attempts. What the heck is that? 174. That is 2.2%. That is the worst that has ever existed in the history of all time. 2020 second-round pick out of Alabama. I don't know what happened, man. He gave up on football. He got a paycheck, decided to just hit the ho-hos and Jack Daniels or something. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know what happened. He had a good rookie year and fell off. Maybe he got injured. He played 400 snaps in 2021. Don't know. Not going to look into it, but I'm just saying I like him and I want him, and I will will it into existence that not only does he come here, but he will have a Pro Bowl season. Okay? That's what's going to happen. So just don't ever frickin' talk to me. A couple interesting things with, actually several. You know what? Let's come back to this because that's kind of big, and I want to do it all at once. Let's see. The Athletics. Michael Silver reports the Commanders' defensive tackle Jonathan Allen will likely be released in a cost-cutting move if the team cannot find a trade partner. Oh, so some defensive tackles becoming available. Jonathan Allen Another Alabama guy who's had a little bit more success than the one that I like, but it doesn't matter, and we don't need to talk about it, and you just need to stop being rude about everything you say. He was a first-round pick, number 17 overall. He's had a rough couple of years, but he was good with Washington. Started off with 78, then 69, then 60. He fell off kind of like Raekwon did, not as drastic, but then he had a resurgence, right? 78, 85, and 80. He had, in 2021, that was his apex, 91 pass rush grade, 67 pressures on 488 attempts, and 10 sacks. Dominant. Next year, he had an 80 PFF grade, just about 10% pressure rate with 8 sacks. I'll absolutely take that. 2023, though, whatever reason, fell off. 60 grade, 38 run defense, 77 pass rush, which is still good, but well below 10%, and 6 sacks. He gets the sacks, I guess. And then this past year, he was injured. Only played 421 snaps. Just keep in mind, 800-something is usually standard for a lot of these guys. 421 snaps. He played about a half a season. 56 grade, 42 run defense, 68 pass rush. He did have 26 pressures on 250 attempts, so above 10%, but just 3 sacks. You figure half a season, he was on pace for 6. So he's had a rough couple years. He's coming off an injury. He is 30 years old. Everybody's 30. It's just very weird. Like every single person is like 29.6 or 30.1 years old. They're all the same age. I wouldn't necessarily hate it, again, as kind of a throwaway, low contract, high upside. Like if he's healthy and can kind of, we can use him with all the other pieces that we have, he could have himself a pretty good day. Jonathan Allen, when it was like this elite Alabama defensive line, Washington just basically bought Alabama's team when they came out of the draft. But, a lot of weight was taken off his shoulders. He could do work. If we can find some actual edge rushers and get some help next to him and whatnot, and Jonathan Allen ends up not being the central focus of the defense, but can just be a dude, maybe? I don't know. I'm leaning much more toward no, but, whatever. Additionally, via Adam Schefter, the 49ers have informed defensive tackle Javon Hargrave that he will be released on the first day of the league year next week, per source. Hargrave will be a free agent. Hargrave is very similar. He was a third-round pick in 2016. He's been much more consistent. He is 32 years old, but he is coming off an injury. He only played in 3 games. He had 8 pressures on 63 attempts and a sack, so he was off to a pretty rip-roaring start. I mean, I would be much more interested in Hargrave even at 32, assuming the injury, the medicals check out. Because just going back to last year, he had a 75 grade with an 87 pass rush grade, 64 pressures and 8 sacks. The year before that with Philly, he had a 91 pass rush grade, 66 pressures and 12 sacks on 512 attempts. 2021, 92 pass rush, 63 on 483, and 10 sacks. I mean, then going back to Pittsburgh. So, the medicals and the age could be a problem, but this guy, his run defense is garbage. It's just bad. It was fine his first 4 years in Pittsburgh. He went to Philly, and they're just like, look, you're a pass rusher. Knock off this bull crap with the running backs. And they just unleashed him, and he went wild. And again, even this year, only played 3 games. He still had, what is that? 8 divided by 63. He had a 13% pressure rate and 1 sack with a 73 pass rush grade. He had, against the Jets, 1 pressure. Against Minnesota, he had 2 pressures. And then his final game against L.A., he had 5 pressures and a sack against Los Angeles. So, I don't know, dude. I mean, let me just look real quick. And again, this is against the backdrop of this free agent class sucks. If this was a better free agent class, I'd look at Javon Hargrave and go, nah, he's too old, he's broke down, don't care. There's nobody out there. There's no defensive tackles. Everybody sucks. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but everybody sucks. Javon Hargrave suffered a partially torn right tricep during the Week 3 game against the LA Rams. Injury occurred late in the game where he still managed to record a sack and 3 tackles. Initially, the 49ers hoped it was a minor issue, but further imaging confirmed the severity, requiring season-ending surgery. He was placed in IR September 28th, ending his regular season. As of March 6th, Hargrave's status has evolved. The 49ers plan to release him with a post-June 1 designation, with the new league year begins March 12, 2025. I think that's a little bit... no, that is right. Dude, what is today? So it's the 7th for you folks. man, we're there. It's go time. And I don't know if we're actually going to look at it or not, but when I went and looked back at the last 2 years, usually like 2 days before, which would be the 8th, is when things just explode. Even though things are going crazy, trades like, DK or whatever might happen. That's when those, because again, it's like we gotta figure this out because free agency is starting. Anyways, salary cap, it's going to relieve them about $10 million. Anyway, reports from the NFL Combine indicate Hargrave has fully recovered from his tricep injury and is healthy regarding heading into free agency, making him an attractive option for other teams. See, so I don't know, but, if it was like knee or, I don't know, hip or anything with the legs, I'd be maybe a back. I'd maybe be a little bit more concerned. A torn tricep? Outside of like arthritis or something, I don't really know. What could possibly be a lingering issue with that? I think as a fluke injury, I think usually you come back with stuff like that. The area itself is stronger. It's just a question of does it do damage to other areas, but the tricep? No. There's no way. Unless it's just a muscle loss issue or something, or maybe he just hasn't been training as much because he's been down for so long. Especially at 32, you don't recover quite as well. There's a chance, but he doesn't seem as though he's really slowing down just as a pass rusher. Even if, at 32 years old, you put the guy on a snap count, he's a third down pass rusher to just get after people. Again, I don't know what his market would be. It's probably inflated because it's such a weak class, but I wouldn't mind it. Again, none of these are fix-alls. None of these are like slam dunk, this is the guy that's going to change things. But could he get in there and just like freaking get after the court? Yeah, heck yeah. Game on the line, put Hargrave in there, terrorize quarterbacks. I could see it. I could see it failing, but I could also see it. More breaking news here as I try to move through my list. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reports the Vikings continue to want impending free agent quarterback Sam Darnold. Like I said, I was surprised to hear that report. It's starting to sound more and more like a reality. Goes on to say that's at a manageable number. We suppose stranger things have happened, but as the only available proving starting quarterback under the age of 30, a manageable number probably isn't going to happen on the open market. There's also the matter of even if the sides do somehow manage to find the right number, all things being equal, Darnold would probably prefer a situation without J.J. McCarthy breathing down his neck. Yeah, but what if he goes to the Giants, they're going to draft somebody immediately. Like, there's no situation where Darnold goes and they're like, okay, it's fixed. We're not going to try to do anything better. Maybe if you go to the Raiders because they're not really going to have a chance to get anybody, unless they get Dart. I just saw that recently. There was a mock draft, I think, and Dart went early, like in the first round. Or did I freaking dream that? Where did I see that? Why do I feel like that was a dream? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But nobody wants Sam Darnold long term, so that's a silly thing. And again, continues to feel more like a reality that Sam Darnold will be back next year. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's take a break, and then we got to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals because there have been some interesting developments. We'll be right back. So the situation with the Cincinnati Bengals seemed pretty straightforward. Two guys, one guy's about to get mega paid. One guy just got franchise tagged. The other guy, they're going to try everything they can to bring him in. And I had mentioned 1,000 times that Hendrickson is a freak, a beast. I want him. He's a stud, but they're probably going to find a way to keep him. The first weird thing I saw is that multiple teams have contacted the Bengals about the availability of T. Higgins after the Cincinnati Bengals placed a franchise tag on him. And I thought that was so weird because I guess I just never considered it could be a tag and trade situation because there was obviously questions about all these things. Now, the Bengals have shot that down just like they shoot down a lot of things, but I thought it was interesting that there's, I don't want to say talks because that implies kind of a two-way conversation, but it just kind of perked my ears up a little bit. Like, it's interesting, and I thought the door was closed. I guess it's never officially 100% closed until it's closed. Then I saw this report. The Bears have the second best odds to land star wide receiver Jamar Chase if Cincinnati trades him, per Bovada official. And I'm looking at that, and I'm like, Vegas is taking bets on where Jamar Chase is going to go if they trade him. I guess it never really even crossed my mind that maybe it's not going to work and they're going to end up having to trade this freaking guy. Now, it's probably going to get done, but, again, you get so closed off on an idea like, it's not going to happen. And it's like, yeah, but what if, though? Vegas hasn't given up on that idea. Now, by the way, I'm so sick of every single free agent being like, the Bears are a great option. The Bears are a great option. I'm going to smack you in the mouth. They got 500 receivers last year. They have too many receivers, and they're going to get Jamar Chase? Where's Jamar Chase going to go? What is the first-round pick from last year, the early first-round pick wide receiver? Is that going to be wide receiver 4? What are you talking about? The Bears have the second-best odds. You're stupid. That said, if anything were to happen and Jamar Chase was available, by the way, Packer fans are going to hate this guy because the drops are through the roof, but he is a freaking stud. Like 2% chance this ends up happening. But again, I don't know. And teams are calling like crazy. That's the funny thing about all these free agents. Like, yeah, we're getting tons of calls. There's just nothing out there. So DK Metcalf, like every team has called about him. You got a guy that got franchise tagged. They're like, okay, he's off the market. His phone's blowing up. Like, would you tag and trade him? Can you trade him to us, please? Dude, everybody's jonesing out there. But then, the absolute biggest news of the day, the thing that I have been begging to happen for a long time, has officially just happened. Adam Schefter says, the Bengals have taken a rare step of granting all-pro defensive end Trey Hendrickson permission to seek a trade. Quote, it's been an honor and privilege to represent Cincinnati over the last 4 years, said Hendrickson, the NFL sack leader. I love the city and organization. I appreciate the privilege of now being allowed to explore my options. Now, this could very well be, and probably is, a simple situation where they can't come to an agreement quite yet. They're going to let him sniff the market like what happened with Matt Stafford. He'll come back to the table, they'll work out a number, and it'll get worked out. Probably the situation that they're in. However, it's entirely possible that they go out there. It's a very hungry market. He gets offers that it's hard to pass up, and let's be honest, Cincinnati is not Los Angeles. I mean that in terms of quality of life, depending on where exactly you'd want to live, but I can't imagine Cincinnati's on the top of a lot of lists. But also just the quality of the team. The Rams are competing for things, I don't know exactly what, but some kind of playoff honor. The Bengals are just trying to not get their quarterback killed and have some fun while you're at it. But of course, within like 5 seconds of hearing this, we got Mina Kimes going on TV saying this nonsense. Hello, stupid idiot. Never mind. Try this again. Go.
Yeah, I mean, the contract's going to be enormous. Max Crosby just lifted that gap on edge rushers. Maybe that factored into the Bengals thinking, not wanting to give him the type of contract that Adam correctly says is coming his way. Love that you drew the DK Metcalf comparison, because with both of those players only having a year left, that does depress their trade value a bit. So, even though Trey Hendrickson as a player is arguably one of the best at his age in the NFL, might not be the sort of mega package I think we associate with players like that. That said, there's a number of teams, Bill alluded to this, who I suspect will be on the phone. Just to name a few, the Chicago Bears have a need at edge, and now a defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, who you talked about him with the Saints, has history with Trey Hendrickson. Yes. The Cardinals are a team with a ton of cap space, need at edge. The Commanders, who are probably going to link with just about every good free agent on earth, do also have that need in cap space. And then I would look to the NFC South, two teams, the Falcons and the Bucs, both have a need at edge. Everybody needs Trey Hendrickson, but those teams come to mind, in my opinion, as ones that
this is one of the weirdest guys ever. I don't know why. He is and has been for quite a while one of the best pass rushers in football. Again, pass rushers. And maybe it's because he got off to a slow start. Maybe it's because he was the third-round pick. I don't know what it is, but, I mean, we're talking since, since 2020, this guy has been one of the most elite. And for a fan base, and I don't just mean the Packers. I mean, let's just talk NFL-wide. What do people care about? They care about sacks. This is your guy. This is the sack. I mean, I love sacks, but I appreciate pressures. It's just kind of a more nuanced and accurate way to assess how good of a pass rusher you are. You can say win rate is even better than that if you want. But It's all there. So going back to 2020, we're just going to rip through pressures on attempts real quick, and then we'll go back to sacks. 50 on 384, 87 on 561, 74 on 456, 79 on 469, 83 on 514. His pressures are stupid, and he's done it for 5 years straight with no slowing down. His PFF grades, his pass rush grades, run defense sucks, I don't give a crap. 77, 87, 88, 91, and 90. He is getting better and better and better, and he's 30 years old, and there's no sign of slowing down. Now let's do sacks. 14, which is very good. That's for a Packer. He might lead the team with 14. Then 20, then 9, worst ever. Then 20, then 18. Those numbers are shockingly high. Now, you're going to find different numbers in other places because PFF actually counts sacks correctly, in my opinion. But, you know, a lot of half sacks in there probably. I don't really know. I don't really care. But it is shocking, as much as we talk about Myles Garrett or Max Crosby or Bosa, any one of the Bosas, how often do you hear Trey Hendrickson's name? I almost never hear his name. And he's as good, if not better, in getting to the quarterback. It's crazy. 2024, you know who had the most sacks? Trey Hendrickson, by a decent margin. He had 2 more sacks than the next best guy, 18 compared to 16, then it goes down to 15, then 14. He had 4 more sacks than Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett, who ranked 4th. Last year, do you know who had the most sacks? Trey Hendrickson, tied with TJ Watt for 20. 2 years in a row, led the league in sacks. You hear his name as much as you hear TJ Watt's name? Absolutely not. He was 3rd in 2021, believe it or not. He had 20 sacks, Bosa 21, Watt 23. Myles Garrett, as far as 2022 he probably did, never has more sacks than Trey Hendrickson, by the way. And we're doing backflips about how Myles Garrett is going to revolutionize the team if we get him. Now, Myles Garrett's better against the run than Trey Hendrickson is. But if you want to get to the quarterback, man, there's not many guys out there that you could argue are better than Trey Hendrickson. So if we're going to go gaga over somebody, 2020, the year before, he's 2nd with 14 sacks behind Watt, tied with Myles Garrett and Za'Darius. And by the way, the attempts, TJ Watt had 1 more sack with 500 attempts, Trey Hendrickson 384. The sacks per pressure are shocking. Nobody had as little pressures. The next guy who had about the same, slightly less pressures is Rashawn Gary, who ranked 16th with 349. Because obviously they never use him and whatnot. It's ridiculous how little he gets used. But Trey Hendrickson was the same thing. Only 384 attempts. Everybody else is at least mid-400s. Some of them 500, 600, 700. Jason Pierre-Paul, 747 pass rush attempts. 13 sacks. Trey Hendrickson, 384, 14 sacks. Just ridiculous, his ability to get to the quarterback. It's shocking. So, if there's anybody right now I'm all in on, I'm excited about the prospect of DK Metcalf. I would be excited about Devontae Adams. There's a couple guys. DJ Reed, like I said, I think is his name. DJ Reed. Is it DJ? Yeah, DJ Reed. Real excited about DJ Reed. I'm all in. Hendrickson is that dude, man. He just is. Look, Myles Garrett, I think 100,000%. I don't know what the value difference would be. I feel like Myles Garrett would be significantly more expensive. But and again, it all depends on the price. But Hendrickson is it, man. This is the guy that's going to terrorize quarterbacks. This is the guy that's going to be able to get home with just 4. This is the guy. It's him. I'm sitting here watching Trey Hendrickson highlights because I don't watch Bengals games. I hardly ever see it. But you look at his picture. He's got this big head. He looks like a 300-pound defensive tackle. I don't picture what his body looks like. He is kind of a tall, lean, really fast. He's quick. So I'm starting to get a little excited here. I'm just, and maybe we miss on all of them. I don't know. There is such a feeding frenzy with all these other teams. We might end up with something. I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much, but I would love a big splash. And at this point, as far as who's available, Myles Garrett, I think they're not going to do anything for a while, so I'm just going to assume he's not really available. And who knows, if we miss out, maybe that's the thing we hold out for and we just go all in on Myles Garrett after the draft or something. I don't know, but man, oh man, would Hendrickson be huge. I mean, the production that he gives you, I mean, you're talking easy double-digit sacks. 15, 16, 18, 20 sacks in a season is stupid. Absolutely stupid, this guy. So we will see. It's an expensive proposition, but it's worth it. You know, I mean, who are we paying? Jair's off the books. Rashawn's not going to get another big contract at this rate. Kenny's off the books soon. None of these guys are getting paid. So, yeah, let's go out and find a superstar and let's pay him all the money. Who gives a crap? I'm not worried about that, even a little bit. I mean, think about the days we paid all kinds of... We paid David Bakhtiari, and we paid Aaron Rodgers, and we paid Devontae, and we paid, all these offensive linemen, and we, paying Kenny and paying Rashawn. It just, I mean, let's get back to the point where we pay superstars, because at this point, we're losing more superstars than we're paying. I'm not afraid of that. I mean, the draft capital is going to suck, but we need it. I've been saying that. I think Gutekunst has done a very good job of finding good players. We have a roster filled with good players. We got to find great players, and this is a great player. DK is probably real good. Devontae hopefully is still real good. Better than the guys that we have not in the elite category. Hendrickson is, as far as pass rushing, he's up there with the best. Even though you don't hear his name, the statistics bear it out every single year. Hendrickson is up there with Watt, with Garrett, with all those guys. And if Gutekunst is serious, then you got to be serious. If this is we have to get home with 4, period, end of story, then yeah, end of story. So I'm, and look, this is probably going to be one of those stupid situations where he goes and tests the market, he comes back, he gets a big contract from the Bengals. But I mean, look, it's a serious thing. You got a what the heck is it called? A franchise tag on a guy, and you got to try to work out a contract because you want to get that number down because that number is huge. Pause. All right, final note of the day. Packers tendered the following ERFAs. These are exclusive rights free agents. Basically means the team has total control and can basically say, I can give you a 1-year minimum and you're going to take it and you're going to like it. Per Bill Huber, running back Emmanuel Wilson, safety Zane Anderson, punter Daniel Whalen, right? Offensive lineman Kadeem Telford. I believe there's only 2 other guys left, and they are expected to be tendered. We'll see what happens with that, but I think Emmanuel Wilson just needs to get paid, just straight up. Just give the guy some money. I don't know what they offered him, but maybe you have to do the minimum. I have no idea, but that dude deserves a contract. But with that, I'm gonna get out of here. You all have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you tonight, tomorrow, whatever. Have a good one. Bye-bye.